and shocked most of us with his effectiveness when he moved up 15 pounds and knocked off Antonio Tarver. He gives away 17 years in age. Max called Cloud young. 31 years old as a boxer is not particularly young.
It's the new 25.
It's young when you're fighting a guy who's 48. Cloud gives up 2.5 inches in height to Bernard Hopkins, but they're equal in arm length. No, Cloud actually has a half-inch arm length advantage when measured from the armpit to the end of the fist, and they both weighed in under the 175-pound limit. In fact, interestingly, Cloud, who has not fought in 13 months, was more than a pound under the limit. Here's the light heavyweight picture, Max.
Well, we see Cloud and Hopkins tonight. Chad Dawson was the dominant fighter of the division, but Andre Ward beat him so thoroughly at 168. Now suddenly this division 175 seems more wide open. Jean Pascal has beaten Dawson but lost to Hopkins. Nathan Cleverly and Shumanov have belts. Kovalev, he just knocked out Campillo, a guy who many people thought beat Cloud in their last fight. Kovalev, a real comer in the division. And Zolt Erdai still, as an undefeated fighter, has a lineal claim to the light heavyweight championship.
Kovalev, Crusher with a K. Great nickname. Now there's undefeated titleist Tavoris Cloud. This will be his first fight that Cloud will fight under the direction of new trainer Abel Sanchez. The whole rest of his career was with Miami trainer Al Banani, who is a puncher's trainer. Now their first camp together in Big Bear, California, an eventful one for Sanchez and Cloud.
My new trainer is Abel Sanchez. I teamed up with Abel Sanchez to create some diversity in my fighting style. Training with Abel Sanchez meant I had to go to Southern California, 7,000 feet up in the mountains in Big Bear. It's really cold and the altitude is really high. When I was up in Big Bear, it was supposed to be secluded, professional boxing camp, and all of a sudden it was on national news because the guy, Dorner, he was on the run from the LAPD for committing these crimes. So, you know, it got a little tense up there. It was kind of scary being there. I think Hopkins tries to play mind games, but he's not getting in my head. Everything he's doing is actually funny to me. A mask and you 48 years old with shades and sunglasses, no.
Now here comes Tavoris Cloud toward the ring, born in Leesburg, Florida, grew up in Tallahassee. Andre Ward, your manager, James Prince, is his manager now, the one who chose Abel Sanchez as his new trainer. Do you see a danger for Cloud in having a new trainer, possibly some new style elements, going into the ring against one of the great craftsmen, one of the great tactical guys who knows so many ways to change a fight?
Yeah, it could be. Tavoris Cloud has a lot of pressure on him tonight. He's fighting not only a legend, but he's got a new trainer, and he's trying to also think and implement everything that they worked on. So it remains to be seen if this relationship is a benefit or a detriment to Tavoris Cloud.
So Cloud is in the ring, and meanwhile, we get ready for Bernard Hopkins, who long ago punched his ticket to the Hall of Fame and remains, even at this late stage of his career, a master of warfare, both in and out of the ring.
I learned how to be confident, and when things happen in the midst of what I'm doing, it just happens. It's nothing I plan. It's nothing I set myself up to say, okay, I'm gonna do this in this hour, round, or time, place, and thing. I just do it. I just do it because it comes in that moment where I need to do it, and that's it. The executioner is getting ready to do his job. Bernard Hopkins is speaking to you now as a representative of the executioner. So just look at me as Bernard Hopkins, the guy that will respect you, a guy that will talk and do what he has to do to represent what the fighter will say. But the executioner is asleep upstairs. He's going to weigh in, and then he's preparing to do his job that he's been sent out to do, and that's execute. He has a contract to do that. I can't be both and have the mentality to execute.
And so here comes Bernard to the ring with a new getup that includes a ski mask. Max Kellerman, he lost last year and did not look all that good in doing so against pure boxer Chad Dawson. So is an opponent like Cloud a hard charger, an even tougher kind of opponent for Hopkins now at this age and this stage of his career, or is he exactly the right kind?
Well, we'll find out, because eventually he will be too old to beat these kind of fighters. But on paper, Cloud is good for Hopkins. Hopkins says the ring retires fighters, and having Dawson dance around him or losing to Calzaghe on points, those aren't the ring retiring you kind of fights. And furthermore, fighting through so much of his title reign as a middleweight in obscurity relatively, you see here, he brought a pretty good crowd out here to Barclays. They're rooting for him. He's now a star. He's making a lot of money, and he hasn't taken any beatings. Tough to give that up.
Good crowd, a superstar in the ring, an excellent referee getting ready to handle a fight. Let's go to Michael Buffer for the official introduction.
You gon' do, I'm a wolf in sheep's clothing. Only that you know who can chill. Come back and get this.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the featured bout of the evening, live from Barclays Center, Brooklyn, New York, USA, as Golden Boy Promotions, in association with Don King Productions, proudly presents 12 rounds of boxing for the IBF Light Heavyweight Championship of the World. Sponsored by Corona Extra, La Cerveza Más Fina, AT&T, the nation's largest 4G network. AT&T, rethink possible. Douce Cognac, a bold new expression of cognac, and Rockaware. Visit the flagship Rockaware store at Barclays Center. Sanctioned by the New York State Athletic Commission Chairperson Melvina Lathan and the IBF President Darryl Peoples. The three judges at ringside scoring this bout will be John Potteray, Tom Schreck, and John Stewart. And in charge of the action at the bell, your referee is Earl Brown. And now, the officials are ready. The fighters are ready. For the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world, ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble! Fighting out of the blue corner with his trainer Nazim Richardson, wearing purple, official weight 174 1/2 pounds. His professional record, 52 victories, including 32 knockouts, 6 defeats, and 2 draws. Tonight, with his place guaranteed in the Hall of Fame, he challenges for another world title as we turn the page to another chapter in the saga of boxing's ageless warrior. From Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, the two-division, 6-time champion of the world, Bernard, the Executioner Hopkins. And fighting out of the red corner with his trainer Abel Sanchez, wearing white, professional record, a perfect one. 24 fights, 24 victories, including 19 knockouts. From Tallahassee, Florida, USA, the reigning, defending, undefeated IBF light heavyweight champion of the world, Tavoris Thunder Cloud.
All right, y'all guys can start clearing it out. Hey, don't Mike. All right, Tavares, Bernard. Tavares. All right, gentlemen, receive the instructions in the dressing room. Obey my commands at all times. Protect yourselves at all times. Anything from here down is going to be considered low. Anything from here down is going to be considered low. Are you ready? Are you ready? Then let's get this thing on. It's right here. All right.
Is Tavoris Cloud ready for Bernard Hopkins? Is he walking into the same trap that Tarver and Pascal and Pavlik and so many before him have walked into? Or at 48, against a big, strong, hungry fighter, has Bernard Hopkins tempted fate one too many times?
Bell sounds for round one. Hopkins was already to the middle of the ring. You saw Don King in the ring before the fight. Legendary and, of course, unmistakable figure for boxing fans. Will this be his last big night? Hopkins says so. He says he's going to retire King from his promotional career by taking out the last of King's champion fighters. Cloud is absolutely, at this moment, the last prominent client in the King promotional stable. Of course, Don King promoted Bernard Hopkins through much of his career, and it was not always a friendly partnership. In fact, King ultimately put together a middleweight tournament which was clearly designed to put his superstar, Felix Trinidad, in control of the middleweight division, and Hopkins upended that by knocking Trinidad out in Madison Square Garden.
Break, don't punch, don't punch, don't punch. Hold up, hold up, hold up. Break. Hold up. Let him go. Time out. Both of y'all, come here. Not going for that bullshit now. When I say break, I mean break. Talking to both of y'all, all right? Time in. Let's go.
I told you he's a doggone good referee. Really like Earl Brown of New Jersey, who is controlling this fight.
He had to put it in language that these two will understand right now.
I like what I see from B-Hop right now. This fight is going at his pace. Tavoris Cloud is going to have to step it up if he doesn't want to get lulled to sleep by Bernard Hopkins.
And I think what you're saying there, Andre, is anything that makes Cloud hesitate is good for Hopkins.
Absolutely. And if you watch film on Cloud, he's most effective in his heavy bag mode. And I mean when his feet are still. When he has to move his feet, he tends to look ordinary.
Well, that was part of how Hopkins so thoroughly bedeviled Kelly Pavlik, was with superior foot movement.
Don't hit him. Break, let me go.
He had superior movement against Antonio Tarver the night that he skinned him.
And it's not big movement, it's subtle movement. Bring generalship.
Break, don't punch.
And Trinidad, too. When Hopkins is in with a mover, he generally has had to rely on smoke and mirrors. But when he's the mover, he relies on left and right hands and makes much better fights.
Cloud tends to be right hand dominant.
Push it, please.
Doesn't throw a lot of left hooks. So Bernard Hopkins doesn't have to look out for too much right now. Cloud actually looks a little dry.
Don't punch. Stop
He may
punching.
need
Stop
a round
punching.
or two to kind of get himself warmed up. I don't know why he didn't come out ready.
10 seconds.
Well, Bernard doesn't necessarily
Don't
look
punch,
that
don't punch.
much
Let him go.
more warmed up than Cloud, but certainly he's more warmed up in terms of understanding what he wants to do in round one. Cloud wasn't able really to get off.
Nice and relax. Nice and relax. You're going to find that stick. You see when you find he dips. That stick is going to find its place, X. Don't reach. Don't look big. He already looking big. Don't look big. I need you to look in the middle of that stuff. When he missed like he did, he got to pay. Speed. My hands. Just knock the grease off. Don't look big. That's going to come.
Warned him about punching on the break, but I got to warn you about the holding, so you got it.
All right? Make sure that it's down here somewhere, okay? But walk with it, throw the right hand. Don't be reaching for it, all right? And when you walk, just make sure you're ready for the next shot. Doesn't have to be long shots. Don't be wrong. Just keep touching. Body. You're down.
All right, seconds out. Let's go.
CompuBox numbers for round one are fascinating. Hopkins was 5 of 15. That's not all that unusual. Cloud was 4 of 26. He's been averaging 72 punches per round for his last 5 fights. So once again, An opponent steps into the ring against Bernard Hopkins and finds himself fighting at Hopkins' pace in a scratch and sniff fight where there isn't a lot of action, and that's exactly what Bernard likes.
And furthermore, it's what he can get away with. Bernard is not a normal fighter. He's not held to the same standards as other fighters because he's almost 50 years old, and people show up to see if this old genius can pull a rabbit out of a hat once again. But that's not the situation his opponent's in. He's 31. The expectation is he's going to be bringing the fight.
You may have noticed that Cloud, who has the title belt for which they're competing, walked to the ring first. Hopkins, of course, who negotiates for everything and makes every demand, made a point of that. Ultimately, it became a coin toss. Cloud lost the coin toss, and so Hopkins got the honor of walking to the ring second. And what do you think of that, Andre?
Yeah, I've never heard of that unless there's two champions fighting in a fight, but he is the legendary Bernard Hopkins, and he got away with it tonight.
You know, you would think on the one hand that if you hear boos, it's a Hopkins kind of fight. That's a good thing because it's slow. But Hopkins' great performances in recent years have not been booing kind of fights. They've been cheering kind of fights, offensive fights.
Right hand inside by Hopkins. Cloud had gotten to him a little bit before that with a body shot. First really effective punch of the fight for Cloud. Hopkins lured Cloud into close quarters against the ropes and hammered him with a right hand shot inside. Now Cloud gets Hopkins with another body shot and just misses the chance to hurt him with a left hook. You talked about how he doesn't throw that many left hooks, Andre. That was a sizzling one right there.
Yeah, he just threw a big left hook right there and he landed it. Cloud, for a big man, a 75-pounder, he's got a great jab. He's not using it right now. He's posing, and he's playing Bernard Hopkins' game. He needs to pick his jab up.
Might that be a product of what you were talking about earlier, Andre? That with a new trainer, sometimes you think more. You have to take one step back to take two forward.
Yeah, I don't know if this is the trainer situation right now as much as it's Bernard Hopkins and the subtleties and the little things that he's doing inside the ring. Cloud looks like he has a little less mass in his upper body. I don't know if that's by design.
Break, don't punch, let him go, let him go.
Well, Hopkins had 2 fights in a row in Montreal against that man, Jean Pascal. The first one was a highly debatable draw in which Pascal knocked Hopkins down twice early, and then Hopkins controlled most of the rest of the fight. In the second one, Hopkins surpassed George Foreman by becoming, at age 46, the oldest man ever to win a major title in the sport. March 30, check out Road to Donaire Rigondeaux for an in-depth look at Nonito Donaire and Guillermo Rigondeaux as they prepare for their upcoming showdown in Radio City Music Hall. On April 13th, World Championship Boxing brings you the live fight between Donaire and Rigondeaux from New York's Radio City Music Hall. It'll be the second time we at HBO have covered a prize fight at Radio City Music Hall. The first one was Roy Jones against, if my memory is correct, David Telesco.
Your memory is correct.
CompuBox numbers in round 2. Hopkins was 8 of 21, but Cloud warmed up a little bit in the second round, managed to get off 50 punches, landed 12 of them, and a couple of them were whistling body shots, and there was one left hook that clipped Hopkins on the chin. Didn't quite catch him with all of it.
Hopkins' body looks a lot better this fight than it did in his last fight against Chad Dawson.
Well, he claims that because of the shoulder injury he sustained in the previous outing against Dawson, the no contest in Los Angeles when they collided in the second round and Hopkins got flipped up in the air and came down on the canvas, he claimed that that shoulder injury kept him from being able to train effectively for the second Dawson fight.
That may be true.
Cloud not letting Hopkins take the play away from him on the inside just then. Answering back with vigor, if not effectiveness.
Hopkins' jab is a timing jab. He's trying to catch you when you don't think he's going to throw it. He doesn't have the luxury of being able to pump the jab out there repeatedly because he's in danger of getting countered, and he doesn't want that.
Yeah, it's more of a filler jab. He's not trying to land it. He's more or less trying to come behind the jab with a right hand, left hook, whatever it may be, but it's more just a feeler just to get a feel of his opponent.
He likes to put the right hand to the body behind the jab, Hopkins.
There's a good jab by Hopkins.
Don't hold him.
Cloud marshaling some body shots behind that. Right hand over the top by Hopkins. Crowd oohs and ahs.
Hopkins is not running. He's walking around the ring, not letting Cloud set his feet.
Don't punch.
The subtlety of what Hopkins does makes his fights challenging to call as an announcer. There's not enough action to really sink your teeth into it.
Time!
Good action after the bell there. Both guys landed a shot.
I know. I'm warning both of you. Listen, I'm not gonna keep going through this bullshit with y'all, man. Making these cheap shots. Y'all ain't gotta do that. All right? Come on. Don't make me start taking points away from you.
You get on the inside, don't try to load it up. Just let him go. Let him go a little longer to the shoulders. Just let him go. You make sure you don't reach from him, but let him go, okay? You're looking for a perfect shot. It's not gonna happen. Just let it go. Let him go. All right? Don't hold back. Just pound on it. You know that body shot hurt him, right? No, okay, he says no, but you don't hurt him. Just keep pounding him. But do not load it up. Just let it go. Let it release. All right?
Inside. We're not going busy. We're going to place our shot in there. All right? We're going to place our shot.
Referee Old Brown had a look of exasperation as he went to both corners to talk about the after the bell skirmishing.
Time. Do we get this tape? Oh, no, that's not tape. No, that's good. It's good. Time in.
All right.
Go.
Round 4 begins. Harold, how do you have it through 3?
I'll get you. I got it 2 rounds to 1. 29-28, Bernard Hopkins. Jim, I thought he won the first round. It wasn't a great round. He barely won the first round. I thought Tavoris got aggressive, threw some shots, clearly won the second round. But in the third round, Hopkins did what Hopkins does. Landed the shots, kept Tavoris off balance, didn't let Tavoris get off, and Tavoris didn't get off. 2-1, Bernard Hopkins.
I mentioned the look of exasperation on Brown's face as he spoke to both fighters. He's clearly aiming to get control of this early and prevent it from becoming a foul-filled Donnybrook. Abel Sanchez with some fascinating advice to Cloud between rounds. You're looking for the perfect shot. It's not going to happen. Let him go.
That's exactly what he's doing. He's looking to land one big shot, and against this guy, against Hopkins, you're rarely going to land that shot, and when you do, he's probably going to hit you back. And Hopkins has answered everything that Cloud has done thus far.
Hopkins may be negating Cloud too well because Bernard often does his best offense off of the other guy's sloppy offense, countering. And he's negating Cloud's punch output to the point where Bernard himself doesn't have a ton of counter-punching opportunities.
But as you were speaking, he actually threw a double jab to set up a right hand and landed it impressively.
Good shot from B-Hop.
Don't punch. Let him go. Don't punch. Okay? Break. Don't punch. Let's go. Go.
And people show up to watch Bernard Hopkins as much for that nowadays. His ability to do that, but also mock a young fighter in the middle of the ring.
I think if I were Cloud, Andre, I would forget about Hopkins' head for the first 6 or 7 rounds and just try to get at that body.
That's what he said his game plan was going to be, but saying it and doing it is two different things. Again, Cloud is most effective when you're standing still. Bernard hasn't given him that stationary target yet.
Bounced a good right hand about 20 seconds ago off Cloud's forehead and a good left hook to the body for Bernard.
And rest assured, unless he runs out of gas, he's not going to provide that stationary target. Now he embarrasses Cloud with another flush right hand shot in the center of the ring.
Time! You ain't no young buck, so I ain't got to beat you up about it. Best round, saw the chain this round. Saw the chain, the right hand start following. A little piece sticking out his glove. We got it. That's your rhythm, X. That's your rhythm.
Round number 5, guys.
Where's the water? Where's the water? Thank you, Danny.
All they're doing is walk around when they move to the left.
Long shots. Long shots when he's there. Don't get so close. Long shots, okay? But just don't let him steal the round.
Because Tavoris Cloud is going straight back, Bernard Hopkins keeps his eyes on him and times him with the beautiful straight right hand.
Angles, angles, angles. Hopkins has them. An innate part of his game. Cloud is a straight in, straight out kind of guy. The nature of somebody who expects to overpower his opponent with strength and activity. Now he gets Hopkins into a corner and eats a right hand as Hopkins gets away.
Andre Nazim Richardson was pleased with Hopkins' rhythm in that round. What about his rhythm did he like, do you think?
Well, I think more so than the rhythm, it's the pace. I mean, of course, it's the rhythm. He's having his way. He's winning rounds with the exception of maybe one. But the pace is what they want. Bernard Hopkins can fight all night long at this pace.
Right, don't punch, don't punch. Let him go, Bernard, let him go.
I mean, there's too many dead spots for Cloud being the 31-year-old and Bernard being the 48-year-old, where Cloud is not pressing the action like he should. This can't be what him and Abel Sanchez worked on in camp.
Well, finding sparring partners to mimic what Bernard Hopkins does, not particularly easy. As I mentioned, the
Great right hand from Cloud.
Yep.
Forced Hopkins to hold.
Cloud's best shot since the second round. We're in the fifth.
Break, don't punch him. Let him go. Right.
Cloud sparred some of the time in Big Bear
Let him go.
with one of the most talented fighters in boxing, Gennady Golovkin. But Gennady Golovkin is nothing like Bernard Hopkins. Cloud got in a good right hand on Hopkins' chops along the ropes there. And in this round, at least for the moment, Cloud's confidence seems to be rising. He takes an uppercut for his trouble, though.
They both landed some pretty tough shots this round.
Cloud's going to be dangerous until the final bell rings. That's for sure.
Break, don't punch. This is what I say, don't punch. I mean, don't punch. All right? Go. 10 seconds. Time. Come on.
Next Saturday Saturday night, tune in for the 147-pound title fight between belt holder Tim Bradley and Ruslan Provodnikov. On March 30, Brandon Rios and Mike Alvarado square off again. Last October, Rios stopped Alvarado in an instant classic fight, which was the front runner for a while for Fight of the Year. Punches per round. Cloud in the last 5 fights averaged 22 out of 72. Here against Bernard Hopkins, 11 out of 46. That's par for the course. Hopkins does that to virtually everyone. One of Cloud's objectives, as stated to us in our fighter meeting with him, was to double Hopkins' output tonight. But in the 5th round, Hopkins landed 18 out of 40 punches. Both of those numbers his high for the fight. Cloud was 15 of 58. Harold Letterman gave that round to Cloud. First one he's won since the 2nd round.
You look at a guy like Cloud in his history where he's known for working Hopkins on the ropes there, where he's known for throwing upwards of 1,000 punches around in certain fights. It's the subtleties that Bernard Hopkins is showing. It's the feints. It's the different motions. It's him walking him to the left and to the right, not letting him get set. You got to appreciate that from a legend like Hopkins.
I mean, Cloud stopped to complain about the follow-through elbow.
And he got hit with a 2-piece. That's exactly what you're supposed to do.
And he got hit with the hook clean before that elbow came, and he complained.
I think this is a much better Bernard Hopkins than I saw fighting Chad Dawson last summer.
Cloud is cut over his right eye. Right on, it looks like it's right on the eyelid, across the right eye.
Serious cut over Cloud's left eye. It is right on the eyelid.
And Cloud
He's never been cut before. He's bleeding profusely from the eyelid right now.
He started to land some serious punches, Cloud, to his credit after the cut.
Feeling a sense of urgency, if in fact he knows the blood is there.
I think it was from the straight right hand Hopkins landed.
It didn't appear to be from the butt. We did not see a headbutt that would have caused that. And Hopkins landed a combination along the ropes, including a good hard right hand, which might have been the reason.
I think it was a punch, Jim.
That's in a bad spot.
I think that's a cut that he's had previously, probably an older cut that opened up.
If so, it's supposed to be a cut from the gym and not from the ring, because he claims he has not been cut in a fight.
Time.
And now Earl Brown is going to summon the doctor to take a look at Tavoris Cloud.
Yeah, I know. Accidental headbutt. Accidental headbutt. Accidental headbutt. What do you say? Good? All right, time in.
All right, Earl Brown is very clear that it was an accidental headbutt.
This is the Cloud that Abel Sanchez wanted from the opening bell now.
In these situations, Cloud is known to fight harder and not smarter. He's going to have to do a little bit of both if he's going to pull this off tonight. And Bernard Hopkins, to his credit, as he's aged, he's learned to work smarter and not harder.
Older but not bolder.
And wiser.
You know, Earl Brown very concertedly said this cut was the result of an accidental headbutt. I think Cloud was trying to say to him that it was the result of Hopkins' elbow.
Oh, they're landing trading some big shots.
And now I'm told that we are going to show you a replay between rounds which will demonstrate that the cut came from a punch and not from a butt.
I got you. I hear it.
Cloud's cut man is Danny Milano, who is one of the best. A true veteran cut man from here in New York.
Earl, watch those elbows, huh?
Yeah, I know I am. That was a head. That was a crash ahead. How you feel, man? How you feel, Samara? I'm good.
Cloud, though he has a good jab, he's tending to throw just one. Bernard Hopkins is able to counter him misses the right, but lands a half hook, half uppercut, which looks like open the cut on Tavoris Cloud.
And Cloud started complaining after that punch to the ref of Hopkins' elbow, because sometimes those shots that come from the opposite side strafe an eye and open a cut or break a rib when they come from the opposite side. It must have felt like an elbow to Cloud.
But it's clear that it was a punch.
It was a clean shot.
CompuBox count of power punches in that round found Hopkins landing 18 of 29. That's 62% of his power punches in the round. He had a terrific round. He has cut Cloud's eye. Harold, how do you have it so far?
Okay, Jim, I got it 4 rounds to 2. 58, 56, Bernard Hopkins. You know, that call by Earl Brown means an awful lot, because if Tavoris Cloud gets stopped on that bad eye, you go to the scorecards. It's not a TKO. So, you know, it's an awfully big call by Earl Brown in this case. Anyway, Bernard Hopkins landed that good right hand, landed a lot of shots in round 6, and he's got a commanding lead. Well, not a commanding lead, a 2-point lead. 4 rounds to 2, Bernard Hopkins.
Well, I've covered Earl Brown with glory as a referee in the early part of the fight, and now our replay shows you that he erred in saying that the cut came from an accidental headbutt.
Jim, let me make a comment about that. Referees are trained that, you know, if you don't see the headbutt, it's a punch, and that's all there is to it. Headbutts are hard to see. Sometimes a guy will back up and grab his eye, you know, make it obvious that it was a headbutt. In this case, Cloud didn't do much except complain to the referee about an elbow. But, you know, certainly, if you don't see the headbutt, you don't call a headbutt.
Good right hands to the body from Cloud. What excuse does this sport have to not use instant replay? When we hear no ringside, between rounds it was a punch.
Zero excuse in my personal view. Tavoris Cloud, now threatened by a bad cut on his left eyelid, is trying to pour the pressure on to 48-year-old Bernard Hopkins. Hopkins is taunting him and trying to take advantage of Cloud's aggression.
Cloud's blood is splattering us here ringside.
Literally.
Andre, you reacted to that blood worse than if you got cut in the fight.
Yeah, it's not my own. Big difference.
And the crowd begins to chant, "Be Hop."
Well, it's hard not to love it. He's defying time.
Once again, his stock and trade.
That said, as Andre mentioned, where a guy like Jean Pascal would tend to fade later in fights, maybe he was a little too uptight early. Cloud is the kind of guy who might still hurt you late.
Yeah, he's going to be dangerous once again until this final bell rings. And Bernard knows that.
Coming to the end of another round in which Hopkins appears to have landed the cleaner blows.
Okay, that's the first thing. And don't allow this man to work. You're allowing him to take the play away from you. You cannot. You gotta be first, okay? But you gotta have a plan when you go in there. One shot's not gonna do it. All right? One shot's not gonna do it. You throw the right hand, you wanna see a left uppercut or a left body shot, right? Yeah. Do not allow this man to outwork you. Don't let him outwork you.
Turn back. Find your body and double up. Tuck your chin and double up to the body. Tuck your chin and double up to the body. Off the jab. It's your time. This is where great shit start, man. You won't stop this boy.
CompuBox numbers shown on the graphic between rounds, showing that Hopkins in the last 3 rounds has a 60-42 edge in landed punches. Harold Letterman scoring 2 of those rounds for Hopkins, who now stretches his lead on the Letterman scorecard to 3 points with 5 rounds to go. Cloud bleeding from the left eyelid, a very tough cut, badly placed for him, being well worked so far by outstanding cut man Danny Milano in the corner.
You see Tavoris Cloud, he has those moments where he looks like his old self, putting both punches together, but then he has to rest. He has these lulls and these dead spots, and that's where he's letting Bernard rest. He can't let that happen down the stretch.
Abel Sanchez going into this fight didn't want Cloud to think. He wanted him to punch. And Hopkins got him thinking early in this fight.
Cloud sticking his jab in this round. He's landed it very effectively a couple of times.
Now Bernard bringing the up jab in there. And he's looking like he wants to land something big. He's not moving quite as much as he did in the first half of this fight.
I think that up jab is aimed at that cut.
I think it is.
Good left hook by Cloud inside. Hopkins slipping, ducking, turning his shoulders.
This is a very telling moment. Cloud has Hopkins where he wants him. What is he going to do with it? If Hopkins can outwork and outbeat him here, Cloud's going to have some problems down the stretch.
Hopkins landed 2 body shots and stepped away.
Looked like James Toney against the ropes just then. A fighter who Hopkins felt Roy Jones and James Toney were the favorite sons of the boxing world.
Break, don't punch.
Through the 90s, and he called himself the 3rd son in the house. And he's still here.
He was referring to their television contracts, the numbers for which he could surely quote to you.
Good
hard right hand by Cloud.
Very good work there by Cloud.
Push his head down, break. Don't push his head down, Bernard, let him go.
Hopkins being forced to work in this round.
Good round from Tavoris Cloud.
Break. Ah!
Listen, when you get on the inside, I don't want you to throw the right hand straight. I want you to loop it a little bit, okay? Okay. Loop it like a little hook. Long hook, but loop it so it hits him as he's turning his head, it hits him in the ear, all right? Okay. Even if it's on the shoulder, but loop it. Don't throw it straight so it doesn't go over the top. But be ready to throw a left uppercut when you do that, okay? You're setting that up. Good. Make sure you set it up. Throw it and move into it, okay?
All right, okay. So let's step up and win this a certain kind of way. Damn just winning. You're different. Let's win a certain kind of way. Put that jab on him, commit to that body, and make this young motherfucker quit.
Cloud is right hand dominant. Bernard Hopkins helps him out by going straight back. Cloud lands his signature shot right on the money.
Well, we mentioned that Cloud had come in throwing 72 punches per round in his last several fights. In that round, he reached the target. Threw 75, landed 16. Hopkins, throwing only 40 punches, landed 15.
In order to outland Hopkins by 1 punch, he had to throw 35 more.
Round 9 of the scheduled 12. In case you've just joined us, the man in the purple trunks is 48 years old. He's the oldest man ever to win a major title in boxing. He's the oldest man ever to have competed for a major title in boxing. He lost the title. He's trying to win another one now at an even more advanced age. Quick left hook inside landed for Hopkins, and he stepped away from Cloud's big right hand shot.
And made him miss big, and boy, is that discouraging.
And then steps in with a straight right hand on the button. Hopkins did.
Hopkins with another combination lands both punches, the left and the right inside.
It's not quantity for Hopkins, it's quality. He makes every punch count.
And if Hopkins seemed slow just a little bit in the last round, allowing Cloud to get off the 75 punches counted by CompuBox, Hopkins is back as a mover in this round, making it harder and harder for Tavoris to throw.
The question is, in the previous round, that one extra shot that Cloud landed, the right hand, for example, carry the round.
Or can Cloud land enough body shots like the left hand that he just hammered the Hopkins ribcage to really slow the old man down? But time is running out.
Yeah, I think he should have started that early on and let that be part of his game plan from the start. And he's not being consistent enough with it to where it can take a major toll on Hopkins.
Meantime, some of those early rounds, not a lot happened. Hard to say who really won those rounds.
What you see in those rounds, Max, is Hopkins at 48 years old setting the table for what you're seeing right now.
Sure. But I wonder how they're scored.
I think Hopkins knows he lost the last round and wants to make doggone good and well sure that he's going to win this one. Because, of course, just to recap, when Cloud's left eye was ripped open a few rounds ago, Earl Brown ruled that it was the result of an accidental butt. Our replay showed it was the result of a left-hand punch. But what it means is that if the fight were to be stopped because of the bleeding over Cloud's eye, they would go to the scorecards, and it would not be a TKO win. Michael Strahan at ringside. No morning show on the weekends. And the chance to be here to enjoy the fight with the big crowd around him of Strahan admirers. Great guy. Tuesday, March 19th, catch the premiere of the next installment of Real Sports, featuring a profile of former heavyweight champ Mike Tyson. Still in the spotlight, and now starring in a one-man show.
Spoke to Mike yesterday, in fact, Jim.
And
he's interesting as usual.
To say the least.
And very happy in his life, it seems, at this moment.
Just land the shot. You'll walk into that. You gotta be busy. Seconds out. Left uppercut.
Danny Milano has done a terrific job of keeping Tavoris Cloud in the fight with one of the worst kinds of cuts, directly in the middle of the eyelid. Ninth round, Hopkins was 11 of 30, Cloud 10 of 52. After having thrown 75 punches in the previous round, we talked about how Hopkins used his movement to once again limit Cloud's output. Harold, how do you have it through 9?
Okay, Jim, I've got an 87-84, 6 rounds to 3, Bernard Hopkins. You know, Jim, you would have thought that after that 8th round with Tavoris, went to work. He let his punches go. He punched a lot. You think he would have learned that this is how I can win the fight. He comes out in the 9th round and lets Hopkins beat him up. I mean, it's really hard to understand. But here, Tavoris Cloud standing in the middle of the ring and not punching. And that's why Hopkins is winning the fight. Good shots there by Bernard Hopkins. 6 rounds to 3, Bernard Hopkins.
Hopkins is obviously not a puncher, hardly knocks out anyone nowadays, drops them sometimes. But he hits hard enough to keep guys honest. And I think that's one of the reasons you don't see Cloud rushing in headlong, Andre, because Hopkins stings him when he comes in, when he makes mistakes.
Absolutely. He's doing something to make Tavoris Cloud, who's the beast of the 175-pound division, think twice before he wants to run in there against Hopkins.
If Cloud's thinking once, it's too much against Hopkins.
But that's the thing. He's being forced to think more and faster than he's ever had to. He's not processing what Hopkins is able to do. When he thinks Hopkins is going to move, Hopkins is in his grill. When he thinks Hopkins is going to stay there, Hopkins moves.
When you go to the archives, you find that Hopkins last scored a knockout 2 months before George Bush was elected to president the second time. That was 2004.
Yeah, I love a knockout just like anybody, but you tend to appreciate this, the mastery of the sport from A to Z.
It's one thing for a 48-year-old to be competing, again, this fight is far from over, against fair to Midland type fighters. But you're taking on a guy, to give you a sense of who Cloud is, who has mentioned Andre Ward as a potential opponent for you, who are considered by many a pound-for-pound contender. And he's doing this to him.
And I don't think it's necessarily a knock on
By everyone, you're a pound-for-pound contender. By many, maybe the best fighter in the world.
Thank you. I don't think this is a knock on Cloud. You're absolutely right. He's everything that they say that he is. It just shows the expertise and the mastery of Bernard Hopkins, even at 48.
Stay tuned for the fight game immediately following this telecast, and we'll hear where I have Andre Ward placed on my pound-for-pound list.
Don't punch. Appreciate that, please.
Right. Maybe make the Gaddy list after that Dawson fight, Jim.
I don't want to make that list.
No.
He doesn't want to be on the Gaddy list.
All due respect.
That's called being a smart fighter.
That's right. And we're watching a very smart fighter here in Bernard Hopkins.
Can't give away nothing, baby. Only on them ropes if I'm down. That's the only way you can touch me if I'm on them ropes. That's center of the ring, he can't do nothing with you. When you touch the body, he freezes. I need that short Joe Louis, wipe his nose with the hook. Tip your hat, pop the chain, short Joe Louis, wipe his nose with the hook. It's that simple. You can look up when it like that, jump in the damn chest.
Now when you get close, and you got that left hook, you're setting up that left hook, throw it. Throw it at the shoulders, doesn't matter. You're aiming for his head. Forget his head.
Yeah.
Throw it at just throw it, just land it. Just land it. And the right hand has to loop a little bit, okay? Right hand has to loop.
Yeah.
Okay, it's going over the top of his head. If you loop it a little bit, you're gonna catch him on the shoulder or catch him on the head.
Seconds out.
Was that a classic ring instruction or what? Tip the hat, short Joe Louis, wipe his nose with the hook.
Nazim Hamed, excuse me, Richardson. Nazim Richardson, you gotta love it. You gotta love it.
If you wipe the nose with a hook, you're throwing a real short hook. And it's funny because Abel Sanchez wants Cloud's right hand long and looping.
Yeah.
I think I'll take a short left hook over a long looping right hand
all day long.
They're into the championship rounds. This is the 11th through 10. The average numbers per round: Hopkins 15 out of 33, 42%. Cloud 11 of 51, 23%. It has been a technician's technical fight, and Bernard Hopkins is the ultimate technician. You know, he writes a column in the back of Ring Magazine: how to throw the left hook, how to block the right hand, how to set up the uppercut. And these columns are professorial in tone. They could be written by a science professor. Put the left foot here. Bring the body weight over to this side, etc., etc. Do you read this stuff, Andre?
Oh, yeah. I've watched this guy for many, many years. His style has influenced my style. Some good work from Cloud right there on the ropes. And I respect it, and I appreciate it.
I do, too. As a blow-by-blow man, I learn something every time I read one of Bernard's columns, which figures into how I see prize fights when I call them.
I found myself getting up and trying it out. Shadow boxing in the living room.
Right. No sparring partners in your house, Max.
No.
Now, Andre Ward has 3 sons. He's got sparring partners.
Yeah, I got a lot of, but I tell you what, I think my daughter may be the toughest of them all.
Right. Well, ain't it always that way?
Little Amira. Bernard Hopkins consistently throughout this fight has gone to the right. Good shot from B-Hop.
So besides winning most of the rounds, in my opinion, so far, Hopkins has also won the story of the fight. Right? They're fighting his kind of fight. He's defying age. He opened up the cut on the younger man. He won't let the younger guy take the play away.
There are moments here when he's putting on a show. You know, when you space the action out this way, you land one crisp left hook and the crowd oohs and ahs. If you're landing 30, 40 punches around, you don't get that luxury. They expect it.
Like I was saying, Bernard Hopkins has been going to his right all night long. They have a simple game plan, but effective. They know Tavoris Cloud is right-hand dominant, so don't go to the left, go to the right, and then set your own right hand up, and he's been able to do that all night long.
Twice, Cloud launches big left hooks. Twice, Hopkins is in another burrow somewhere. And again.
Okay, much better round. Much better round. Just don't let him steal it in the center, all right? In the middle of the round, don't let him come on. All right? He can't throw 4 or 5 shots in a row. You gotta go right back with him. Okay?
Yeah. Whip your ass up. Whip hard.
Last round. Work your ass up, right? Put him down, we win this fight. Make sure you put him down. We win this fight, you put him down, all right? It's that close.
You need this round, son.
Rip underneath of that body. Now it's time to place the shots. I need you to double up under there. Place the shots, roll out, all right? Give him nothing, X. Off the ropes, don't give him nothing. Off the rope, double the jab. This is your time, come on.
Power shots in the 11th round. Hopkins landed 9 out of 18 by CompuBox count. Cloud, 5 out of 26. Hopkins putting 6 of those 9 landed power shots in the last minute of the round. He's done it his way. He's fought at his pace. He's controlled the fight the way he wanted to. I'll be surprised if he does not hold the edge on the official scorecards coming to the 12th round here. And I think Abel Sanchez and Danny Milano in Tavoris' Cloud's corner were saying exactly that when they said put him down. You got to put him down, and then you'll win the fight. Right hand by Hopkins.
I think in this 12th round, what happens seemingly up on the cards, he's going to try to cool Tavoris Cloud off early because he's going to come out strong like he's doing.
I'll tell you what, he's holding his ground on the inside, throwing his body shot.
He is. And then try to finish strong.
And landing a right uppercut that momentarily backs Cloud off.
Yes, he did.
Well, Hopkins has forgotten about boxing. Cloud will never know, and that's not a knock on Cloud.
That's just a reality.
How do you hide at that range? But he can do it.
But he also is a tough old guy. Cloud is landing some shots here and there, and Cloud is a good puncher, and he's in his physical prime, and Hopkins can take it.
Cloud is cut above the left eye, and now his right eye is beginning to show damage too.
Yeah, Bernard Hopkins has pretty much made up his mind that I'm not going anywhere tonight. I put in 11 and a half excellent rounds. It's going to take more than one shot to get this guy out of here right now.
See if they call that cut over the right eye an accidental headbutt.
Doesn't matter at this point. If, in fact, our estimate of what is likely to happen on the scorecards turns out to be correct.
This isn't.
It could be very close.
The cuts are not the result of accidental butts. They're the result of intentional butt whoopings.
Hopkins told us in the fighter meeting that he's different. He said 48 is a good number. And why do I keep doing it? Because I can. Boy, is he ever telling the truth tonight.
Ring ain't retired him yet, unless Tavoris Cloud can do something extraordinary in the next 40 seconds.
Hopkins has been doing something extraordinary for 12 rounds. Any boxing purist can appreciate it. To the skies, really. It's amazing to watch.
Your everyman can appreciate it too. Your general sports fan. In what major sport does someone perform like this on this level at this age?
Oh, maybe. Not the hardest and most physically demanding sport of them all. Crowd's on its feet in the Barclays Center.
And playing golf tonight.
Crowd knows what it's seen. They're on their feet. Bernard comes straight over to Andre Ward.
Sound like you're still hungry to me.
Showtime, Escalation, go to the mark, or HBO, they get their money back. Watch, baby. I love you. I never fight you.
It's all good.
I only a fucking $1 million, 20, 30, 40. I won't fight you.
It's all good.
Bernard Hopkins obviously knew as the 12th round progressed that he wanted to come say something to Andre Ward when the fight was over. That's very much like the lecture that he delivered to Kelly Pavlik after he annihilated Pavlik in Atlantic City. This one was friendly in its way, right?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't understand everything he said, but he pretty much said that there's no amount of money that they can give him for us to fight.
That was the message, that I ain't fighting you. Yeah.
Well, I think that's a good idea on his part. I think.
I respect you out there fighting. All right, guys, let's go. I'm not staying. So you all right, come on, guys. Let's go. We gotta get to the corner. I got four. Hey, lead the ball over there, please. Go ahead, man. Lead the ball over there, please.
Always the narrative, always the ongoing conversation, always the public statement about himself. Harold, how did you score it?
Jim, I got it 116, 112, 8 rounds to 4, Bernard Hopkins. You know, Jim, the guy's amazing. For his age, he's absolutely amazing. Tavoris Cloud didn't work enough, didn't throw enough punches, didn't pressure him enough. Hopkins, on the other hand, landed the cleaner shots. He busted him up. There's no question Bernard Hopkins deserves this victory.
All right, I trust your scorecard. Who are the 3 official judges?
Okay, Jim. Well, we'll start with John Potteray. Very good judge from New Jersey. As you see on the screen, 26 title fights. He worked Golovkin, Rosario. I remember him with that Malik Scott. He had a 98-92 of a Glasgow, which really was the right score. Tom Schreck, he comes from Albany, New York. He writes books for a living. As you see on the screen, he had Zinzaruk. He had it for Jonathan Gonzalez, who I thought won the fight. He also worked Gennady Golovkin and Proxa. He works most of the fights up in Turning Stone. John Stewart, a real veteran judge. He's been judging since 1978, originally from Pennsylvania. Now he lives in Jersey. As you see, he worked Manny Pacquiao, won Manuel Marquez won. I remember him from the fight where he worked Peter Quillen and Hassan Indam, and all 3 judges had the same score.
And there's Jean Pascal, the man whom Hopkins defeated to win the light heavyweight championship at age 46, in the ring with the sunglasses on, greeting the champion. And now let's go to Michael Buffer for the official scores.
Ladies and gentlemen, we go to the scorecards. John Stewart, 116, 112. Tom Schreck, 117, 111. John Potteray, 116, 112. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight you have witnessed history. The winner by unanimous decision, the Fighting Pride of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and no IBF light heavyweight champion of the world, Bernard, the Executioner Hopkins.
What more can you say? A walking textbook of boxing. Bernard Hopkins applies his fabulous mental skills once again in such a way as to vanquish a man 17 years younger than himself and again become the oldest man ever to win a recognized title belt in boxing. He landed 30 more punches over the course of the fight. He threw 233 fewer punches. He landed at an astronomical 41% connect rate. Astronomical for him, I'd say. Power punches, even better. 110 out of 227. How fitting. 48%, his age. And punch zone shows you where those punches landed, and you can see that Hopkins evenly distributes it on Cloud. The right hand is a little bit more dominant upstairs and to the body, but he throws those left hooks too. And Tavoris Cloud got to Hopkins a little bit, particularly on the right side, or the left side of Hopkins' body with his right hand, but ultimately did not land enough and did not control the tactical flow of the fight. And once again, Bernard Hopkins is a boxing champion. And now let's go to Max Kellerman standing by with the man himself.
Congratulations again for making history, which you seem to do just about every time you fight. What did you do here tonight? How'd you come away with a win?
Well, I spoke to you and Larry Merchant, not Larry Merchant, he's gone, Jim Lampley, and also Andre Ward in HBO's meeting. And basically just want to use my speed and reflexes, which I still have at 48 years old. I want to display Philly, Brooklyn in the house. The 40 and up clubs still rule. I want to tell all the kids out there and everybody that's in sports, you can do it clean and still don't be good like myself and never take drugs.
Or great like yourself.
Yes, Max. I studied what Nazim was saying, and also I stuck to the plan. I just took a little time to get warmed up. As I said earlier in the HBO's meeting yesterday, I was going to work on combination punches, and it's hard to get adjusted to it when you be throwing 1 or 2 punches like I have most of my career. So I was trying to throw 4 or 5 extra punches that I normally don't throw, and I seemed to get the rhythm that he wasn't expecting 3, 4, and 5, Max.
Is that what Nazeem Richardson meant when he said, now you're finding your rhythm?
Absolutely. And once I found that rhythm, I don't know if it was a 4th or 5th round, things became easy. And I've seen a lot of telegraphing punches coming from Cloud. But he's a gutsy, strong young champion. I told him that I won't be here for too long, only 5 more years. And he will be definitely a champion again. But I got a history. I got a history of destroying young champions, and you never see him again.
Bernard, how does it feel now, throughout so much of your middleweight title reign, when you were largely ignored by the media and the networks, and not really well known by the general sports fan? Now you're drawing real crowds wherever you fight, and you've become this star as nearly a 50-year-old. What does it feel like now?
It feels great, and I love these 2 guys I'm gonna mention. Then sharing the spotlight with Roy Jones Jr. in the 90s and James Toney. I was the 3rd child in the house, and then I get a chance to be in the house and get the light on myself, even though at 48. But you know what? Brooklyn came out, Philly came out, Delaware came out, Jersey came out, DC came out, Maryland came out, everybody, hey, everybody came out. Everybody came out. Even Let's Get Ready to Rumble. My man came all the way out here. From HBO, you know who I'm talking about, Michael Buffer. He got that patent, so nobody try to use it without getting sued. But thank y'all for coming out. Hopefully I'll box here again and do another historic fight at the Barclays Center. I love you, Brooklyn. HBO and the other network, I need a home. I need a home.
Thanks, Bernard, and congratulations again. Just incredible. Jim?
Thank you, Max. Thank you, Max.
What more can you say? Want to learn to box? There's the clinic right